Okay, thank you, Jim. Some of you YouTubers have asked me recently what I think starts wars. I want to thank you for your question. I am not a philosophical person. I have only seen some things other people haven't. But I will answer your question as best I can, and with perfect clarity and humility, as I have done in all my other recollections. When I entered the Navy, it became clear from the get-go that what we were fighting was the enemy, always the enemy. Most of the time, the enemy was invisible. He was hiding in the bushes or behind aeroplanes. A lot of the time, the enemy wasn't there yet. That meant he was hiding in time as well as space. On my first day of training, Staff Sergeant McNearnut told us the enemy started the war and it was our job to finish it. Ever since, I have thought that it is the enemy who starts wars. The enemy is lurking around, always at the edges of things. When I take a walk in the park, I sometimes get the feeling the enemy is there. He throws no shadows, not like black people who are indistinguishable from their own shadows. The enemy is beyond light and dark. He is not affected by light. The enemy is always there at a right angle to reality. In the ancient Bible, Satan is a word that meant adversary. The word was used more like we would use the words prosecuting attorney today. It meant a thorn in your side, one that questions you on every point, one you can never get rid of. As every veteran knows, you can never get rid of the enemy. Some years ago, I was at the supermarket. I was pricing a bottle of aftershave. There was a sudden commotion, and all of the sudden I heard a voice. It said, "Clean up and I'll die." I looked around but couldn't see anything. But I could sense an invisible presence. The voice was a big, booming voice that seemed to be everywhere at once. I heard it again. "Clean up and I'll die." I took this to mean me. I took this as a warning. I retreated down the aisle. Someone had run over a bottle of shampoo with a shopping cart. I left it behind. It was probably one of these reckless teenage girls. I went home that night and slept poorly. I had a terrible dream. Jesus Christ was trapped inside a mandolin. His face kept coming out and pressing against the strings. They would rip and tear, but then regrow, and this made a horrible noise. All the while, Jesus was weeping. The sound of his weeping stirred my bones and made me feel worse than I ever felt. Then Jesus' face turned into a pair of fake rubber lips, the kind you see on Halloween. Now there was a line of young girls, all lined up and zigzagging around the block, standing next to burning barrels. In the dream, a new law had been passed to make female circumcision mandatory. Their female lips were needed to make parachutes for a special manned space mission to Jupiter. I woke up and knew my life would never be the same. All this was due to the enemy. There is no doubt in my mind. But I have taken his warning, and I do not bathe, and I do not clean myself. I do not use toilet paper, and I hesitate even when I use a napkin. It has made dinner almost unbearable. This is the price you pay for war. But I have served my country well and have no regrets. Toodaloo.